Yeah. Welcome, Eli.
Howdy.
Oh, perfect. You can hear us. Nice.
I think we're going to call them audible. Start with
Sometimes technology works.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think, Eli, what we're going to do is either you or us are going to pull up the 2026 fire budget, if I'm correct. Sound good? And then you can rattle through it, and if Mark has questions, he'll ask them, and we'll.
Yeah.
So Eli is sharing a budget?
No. I think we already
Do we
it.
have it? Do you?
Well, two things. So
Yeah, use the
Cortez
mic
Fire
so,
are gonna
yeah,
have
use the
their
mic so
budget,
Eli can hear.
and we're going to have our budget. So maybe you want to.
We should, do we not have the budget that we presented, was that not populated by, court? Okay, well, those, so let Eli run through what the proposed budget is for the Cortez fire.
Sure. Should I see if I can share my screen then?
Sure.
Not sure.
Do we have it?
I didn't send out. Sorry. I didn't send Edith a Cortez Fire, but it is embedded within our budget.
I'm just making sure that my computer will actually share this. It seems a little resistant. Just a sec.
I think the summary for Cortez Fire is primarily an inflation increase, about 2.4%
Yes.
of the contract. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 2.4%. There's some slight changes in the different line items, but we kept the overall to inflation.
Well, let's go through it, because on the budget that we proposed, we showed a significant increase. I get that it's partially due to where the stuff is funded, but let's walk through the items. So if the items show 2.6, okay, that's seems pretty simple, but then we need to talk about how that's funded, because what we showed Director Von Esch was, I don't know, 30 additional dollars. And if that's in how it's funded, then we can chat about that. And it's less about what Eli's proposing and more about how we're funding it.
Yeah. Did you want to pull up the budget, Edith? Or,
Oh, it's right there.
oh, okay.
It's up on the screen there. Yeah, so it looks, Eli, like you're just kind of doing what you've already done, small increase for inflation, basically, right?
Yeah, yeah. We moved stuff around a bit just to match where our costs actually were.
Okay, so I think the real question, which, I've had a chat with Mike already, is around the reserves for replacement of the vehicles, and you guys are looking to get a wildfire brigade truck. Is that right, Eli?
Well, it's not specifically a wildfire brigade truck, but a wildfire truck.
Yeah.
Sorry, Edith, can you pull up our budget document on 250?
You want me to keep it on?
Can't you just,
I think we're good with Eli's budget. I get that. I get that side of things. I think the conversation is really around the capital costs for replacing vehicles, and whether we put some gas tax into that to keep tax acquisition more reasonable.
So yeah, Edith, take his down and put
Take him down. Okay, can you let him know I'm moving him out?
Eli, you're going to get your screen sharing booted off.
Okay, I didn't realize there was actually successfully screen sharing.
Yeah.
Okay.
$250?
Yeah. So you can see this, right, Eli?
Yeah, and I also have both of those up for myself too.
Yeah. Okay, great. So maybe, Mike, if you want to just sort of explain, we're looking at sort of an extra $100,000 in proposed tax requisition right now, where that's coming from, and then what some of my solutions might be to keep that flat.
yeah, so the Cortez budget is built into that 419,000, plus we have some salary allocations, we have vehicle insurance and some other costs. The big change this year is the transfers to reserves. You're essentially going from 18,000 to 80,000. So in 2025, gas tax was used to offset the reserve transfer. That's why it's so low. This year, there's going to be a new request for a wildfire vehicle. That is not gas tax eligible, so they're going to need between 150,000 to 350,000 if that purchase is to go ahead. So we need the funds in reserve. Currently, there's about $350,000. So, but going forward, I think I gave everybody a handout here, and Eli has it as well. The fire fleet consists of 7 vehicles, 4 of which are gas tax eligible, 3 are not. So the reserve, the ones that aren't gas tax eligible, we're going to have to look to either fund them through requisition and reserves and or debt. So that is the question.
So if I put $100,000 towards fire service towards the costs of replacing the 4 vehicles that are eligible, that would work. Is that right, Mike?
Yes, on average, you're going to need. It depends whether they're bought new or used, but so if they're bought new, you're going to need an ongoing amount of 111,000. If they're bought used, it'll be 61,000. But I think the next big purchase is in 2036. So there's going to be a big.
We have a big purchase coming up next year. Tender 1 needs to be replaced next year.
Oh, okay. I had, 2027 is the next purchase. My apologies for that. So, yeah, that's going to be out of gas tax. You're going to need between 300 or 650 and 150, depending on where that lands. So,
And Eli, you think you can? What's your thoughts on getting that used?
I'm pretty optimistic about getting it used. That's definitely what I'm aiming for.
Okay. And Sean, do you have any comments on that?
No comment so far, Director Vanesh.
Thanks. Okay, so I think what I'd like to do with this service is basically keep it flat. So that's like what, $97,000 in gas tax funding that we put towards capital reserves.
yeah, the gas tax will be capital. This will be outside this, but you have right now there's $79,167 going into the operating reserve. So you could reduce that by any amount up to and including 0.
Is that the operating or the capital reserve, Mike?
This is the operating transfer. So every year every year we put a little bit of money. This one I have it scheduled to meet. Assume that you just buy everything used, you're going to need $79,160. So that'll be the ongoing. But for this 1 year, like I say, you could remove that or reduce it down to 0. You would have enough money to buy the wildfire 1 unit, but you also speak to some equipment and everything else you need. So that equipment won't be gas tax eligible either. So it all depends.
My understanding was that the equipment and the truck that we are hoping to purchase this year, I think we were figuring there's enough currently in the reserves for those. So the reserve contributions are at this point going forward towards tender 1 in 2027. Well,
I could tell you there's 350,000 in your operating reserve. So wildfire 1 will cost between 350 and 150. So if you buy it new, then there's no reserve money. If you buy it used, there will be reserve money.
Yeah, and then the power backup system, and wildfire 1 are the 2 that we're hoping to do this year, and I'm fairly confident that we can make both of those fit into the existing reserves of 350.
Okay, so that would nullify your reserve. We could set that up, and then then gas tax will be needed for the 2027 purchase, whatever that is, and then.
So then if Mark is assigning gas taxes for this year's contribution between this year's contribution and next year's contribution, that should set us up to be able to purchase a used tender 1 in 2027.
Yeah, the tender one we could do with gas tax. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's the 2029 purchase of the new Command One vehicle. That would be a question, but we'll just have to build up the reserves after that, and then
Yeah.
plus or minus any other equipment. Because I haven't factored. We're only factoring the fleet. I don't know about any future.
Yeah, we haven't done the major equipment list yet.
Yeah. So yeah, okay.
So are you going to then reduce the operating reserve transfer to take that 80 grand out? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, correct. But when that will come back in the future at some time. But that's to be just
Okay.
cross that bridge when we get to it.
Well, I am into putting some gas tax money into capital reserves.
Yeah, you could do that. I'm just saying by 2038, you're going to need between 1 million to 3 million.
Yeah, so I'd like to start planning for that.
Can you put tax money in reserves?
No, we'll just have to
Hold it,
allocate.
allocate it, yeah.
Hold it.
Okay, so,
Any idea on your earmark for?
well, I'm just looking to keep this service basically flat. So, we're looking at right now we're looking at like a $97,000 increase. I'd like to use as much gas tax money as I can to keep that flat.
Yeah. Okay. So as far as gas tax, I'm going to schedule a 2027 purchase of 150,000.
So that'd be 75,000 this year, 75,000 next year?
No, I'm just going to allocate 150,000 of your gas tax whenever the cash goes out. But I'm going to earmark for 2027 150,000.
I don't think I want to do 150. I think I want to do more like,
Oh, that's the cost of
That's the cost of the tender one that he
if it's bought used.
used. So he's got tender one in 2027, which is eligible for gas tax at 150. So I think that's what Mike's talking about. 2026 is the brigade vehicle, and he said he can get that used at 150 as well, correct?
Yeah,
And that's
what I'm
2026, right?
working on.
And that's 2026, right?
Yeah.
So we got a 2026 purchase, it's got to come out of reserves because that one's not eligible. And 2027 tender one that can be gas tax. So we got 350 in reserves. You take 150 out of reserve next year for that wildfire vehicle. Allocate 150 in 2027 of gas tax, and then that leaves you still a couple hundred grand in reserves. Makes sense? And then you're talking about dropping the operating reserve by 80 grand, which will drop the individual requisition by quite a bit.
And Mike, the command truck that's coming up in 2029, that also would not be gas tax eligible, correct?
Correct. And what was the price of the equipment that you mentioned? You said
The price of the equipment, the backup power system, we are imagining being around 120 right now. We're just getting some more quotes in for that.
but we're not including that for this year's budget. Is that right?
It was actually included for last year's budget, and we are
Yeah.
hoping to put that in this year's budget under the existing reserves.
Yeah, I'm just
Funded
trying
by the
to
existing reserves.
refactor in the carry forward. So coming out of the reserves, we have the 120,000 for the power, and then in 2029 we're going to have 50,000 for the command one.
Yeah.
So Mike, can you clarify how much gas tax money I'm putting in here now?
Well, I'm carrying forward the 54 from last year, and I'm adding 196. So that's going to be a commitment of 150,000 coming out of gas tax.
This year?
Yes.
Okay, so that's going to bring my gas tax down to 100 or something. Is that right?
Yeah, I'll refigure it out here for. Apologies, I gotta find the applicable sheet here. Okay, so we're anticipating starting your gas tax next year at 378. We're going to add 65, and then I have 100,000 coming out for the multi-sport court, 150 coming out for the fire, and 35 for the Area B master transportation plan. So that leaves 160,000 going into 2027.
Okay. Great, thank you.
Yep.
I think that's all we need from you, Eli. Or is there any?
Can you,
thank
so
you very much.
are we still talking about did you remove the transfer to operating reserve out of the,
Yes, yeah.
okay, so what does that, for Mark's benefit then, what does that drop the, 2026 requisition, like the per home requisition by?
I'm forgetting the math, but it's a 4.7% increase now, 18,000.
18 instead of but can you, like he was at 135, I think the easiest thing is to figure out the per home, so we were at 135, taking that out, what does that bring it down to?
$24.42.
Okay, I guess I'm a little bit confused. So I'm looking at the 2025 budget, 385. This year proposed before we change anything was 43. So it's $97,000. And now I've put 150 of gas tax in.
Yeah, your gas tax doesn't affect your operating budget. The only thing that affected your operating budget is your reserve transfer went from 79,000 to zero. So that's effectively the difference of $80,000.
Okay. So there's nothing else I can do with gas tax to keep this flat?
No, but
No.
that went from 135 per home in fire to 24, yeah.
Okay.
So what was his net number yesterday per home? Scroll up a little bit, I can see we got, yeah, there.
Right now it's sitting at 59.28.
And he was yesterday,
Like 200 or something?
yeah, okay.
I'll pull that document up.
Okay, then, while we have you, Eli, the first responder, is that your budget as well?
Yes, I mean, I submitted a first responder budget.
Yeah.
A quick question for Mike before we move on from the fire budget. There appears to be an increase in the operating expenses beyond what I've asked for, which I'm assuming is vehicle insurance. And you mentioned salaries are in there as well. Is that paying a portion of John Baker's salary, or what are the other items in there, just when people ask me about it?
John Baker's in general government, so he's not in
Okay.
Cortez Fire.
It'd be Sean Koopman, as well as some liability insurance, which is just driven by formula, or property insurance, which is driven by formula, and then liability as well. We also got a small contingency for legal fees, but that's not changing, and other professional fees, but there's been no change there.
Okay. What is primarily contributing to the increase in that?
That would be
I'll take that one, Mike. So, forever, Eli, my salary and benefits have only ever been paid under Function 272, the Strathcona Emergency Program. So that program has always been subsidizing all the other services that fall into my portfolio. So what I've worked with in Mike this year is to take, 10% of various portions of my wages and salary. Some goes into Cortez Fire, Cortez First Responder, Campbell River Fire, the Sayward Fire, all the other services that I oversee.
Okay, so that's roughly 10% of you and your staff, or just you?
Just me, because I'm the the primary one that you deal with Cortez fire, like Casey's position doesn't really deal with the fire department, so she stays
Yeah.
within 272.
Okay, so 10% of yours, just because everybody's going to be asking me,
totally.
and I like to know what to explain is going on. Seems
Yeah.
reasonable. Cool, thanks. And then
And
the,
if I
the
can,
insurance and that stuff, did
just-
that stay fairly flat, or is there major line increases in any of that stuff?
No, that was all flat.
Okay, cool.
So just to support that too, with Sean's narrative there in terms of staff allocating time to services. So Sean, through his grants, is bringing in literally millions of dollars to all the different services, and therefore the efforts that he puts in need to be recouped. Like they're a tiny
Yeah, no,
fraction.
I totally wasn't arguing it. I just
No, it's
need
all
to be
good.
able to explain it to people.
Yeah, no, it's all good. So as we go through our allocations, we have to dissect, where we're all contributing our time to. So, Sean, under the regional functioning was, if anyone has paid attention, the Campbell River is not thrilled about paying their portion of everything that may be benefiting other areas. So again, it's an exercise of us dissecting our time of where we are, and instead of just putting in that one lump sum, spreading it to areas that we're operating in.
Yeah.
One more addition to, just to address that question we had before the meeting started. Director Vinesh, the sales of service was for the Clues. It used to be $4,600. The $16,000 you see is the current amount.
Okay, thanks for clarifying that.
Mike, one question I had on that. In 2025, there's an other revenue column there, 12,608, and I was curious what that other. Oh, that was actually the projection. I was wondering, was that the inclusion of Tiber Bay showing as other revenue, or what was that amount?
No, that was interest being earned on the funds.
On the
Yeah, we have
reserve funds.
350,000 of interest. We have currently invested in a range of GICs and some other things. And then just for clarity, the transfers from reserves under that, the 15,000, that was for
Buildings, it covered buildings R&M, which was left out of our budget to keep it flat last year.
yeah.
And we got like another 30 properties in the service now with Tiber Bay, right? So does that have an impact on?
I believe that jump accounts from the 4,600 to the 16,000.
I think that's just Clahoos.
Yeah, no, those properties are now going to be, the requisition is going to be spread over more properties.
Does that make sense,
So
Mike?
that will be
Yeah. Is there an addition?
reducing the per property cost based on the addition of those properties.
Yeah, but there's no additional fee or there's no additional invoice for us going out for that amount, right? Like the Clahoos one, we're actually sending an invoice, so it's not collected by taxes. I believe the Tiber Bay was a
Service expansion.
service expansion, and it will be collected by requisition. So you're correct, everyone, individually, the property taxes go down, but there's no additional revenue.
Is that shown in this budget?
That will just be factored into the essentially the 385,000 will get sent to more residences. So that'll be a lower per home cost. But at this point, we just look at the grand total of tax dollars coming in, which would be 483. Now 403, but
Okay, so that the per household amount could decrease once we have this service expansion allocated into the budget.
I believe the service expansion already has taken place.
Do you know, Tom?
The Cortez Fire Department has not only a dollar limit, but a rate limit. So we won't know until the assessments are out in 2026.
Okay, so we could see some changes still.
It's a moot point. What you're doing here is what the residency is just going to be the byproduct of whatever decisions we make here. So that's not relevant. Whether the tax base shrinks or increases, it's not going to change that 385.
No, just the per property, that
Correct,
portfolio. Yeah. Okay. The first responder, so this is another one that jumped percentage, it's not a big budget, but it jumped percentage-wise pretty big. It went from 26.6 to 40.9.
I can give the summary there. So same thing for the Cortez Fire, increased by 2.3%. Last year, we did some reserve smoothing, so there was a $7,500 transfer from reserves. There's still $18,000, $19,000 in the reserves, so you have some more flexibility there. And then just with the salary allocation and the insurance went up a little bit, not much.
What do we use reserves for in this service, practically?
Originally, when it was set up, it was for training. They needed a one-time additional lump sum of training. Then I believe there was a bit of a surplus, which got moved to reserves, but going forward is available for anything the board wishes.
So you could smooth out the requisition with some more transfer from reserve.
Yeah, I'm into doing that.
My understanding is the reserves built up because the launch of the program was delayed. So there was a year prior to us actually starting to draw on that. And some of that went to reserves.
Yeah, no, that's good news. You have some reserves in some functions that don't have any physical, tangible assets to that. And so this is kind of one of those. And so I think we can, comfortably bleed more of those to do a requisition smoothing. So if you want to, change that, like what does an extra $5,000, for example, smooth it out, or what flattens it out from the 2.3, let's say? It shouldn't take much.
That it drops it down to a $9,200 increase. I'll try and find the price per home here.
But Eli, you don't see any reason to have reserves, do you?
I think it's worth having a small reserve. I'm not off the top of my head. I can't think of anything immediately, but it does, in the case that there's something that significantly changes our operating costs, it's nice to have a reserve to buffer that with.
Okay, well, so with a budget of 41 on this, I'm happy to keep a reserve of 10. So if we want to use some 86.53 of reserve this year.
That makes sense to me.
Does that work, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think I'm done with that one.
34.
Yeah. And we could play around with this too once we get the new assessments out and everything.
Just out of morbid curiosity, what does that drop a per home, if we're just curious? What more did you transfer from reserve than you had?
It's right down to $570 a home.
That's the increase we're looking at right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, what was it? I'm just curious what that transfer did.
10,000.
And the rest of the operating expense increase on this is also due to spreading out other SRD costs?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so we're clear on that, Mike? We're going to drop operating down to 10?
Yeah.
Or operating reserve down to 10?
Yeah, you betcha.
Okay. And you're saying that right now, if nothing else changes, we're looking at an average property tax increase of 5 something?
In that reserve, yeah, it was $5.70.
No, sorry, overall, now that we've made this adjustment,
$50.
we're looking at $50 increase right now, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you say 50 year net of all services?
Correct.
And I just want to provide commentary for any public listening to this if they're curious about why it's different budgets for the service that are provided by the same provider, the fire department. It's because it's 2 different service areas. The first responder budget covers the entire island for that service, whereas the fire department is only a portion of the island.
And this first responder budget really is paying the fire department to be part of the first responders with the paramedics. Is that right, Sean?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, great. Eli, unless you have anything else, I think we're good for you, with you.
No, I think that does it for me. Thanks.
Thanks for being
guys.
here. Appreciate your insight.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Eli.
Bye.
Okay, so do you want to move to grants and aid, 126? I'm going to put that from 31.5 to 30.
Sorry, say again, you want the budget to be 135?
Yes, so the tax requisition going from 31.5 to 30. And Mike, can you remind me, number of property portfolios on Cortez, is it 876?
Sorry, 1 second, I'm a step behind.
Everybody watching online, Mike is the financial lead here at the SRD, and he's madly adjusting budgets as we have these conversations.
Yeah, sorry, Mr. Do you want the requisition to be 30,000 or the budget to be, you want a $30,000 budget?
I want a requisition of 30. So we haven't spent most of our
Yeah.
2025. That's going to come in January. That's going to empty most of that, what we had left from last year. And then I want to do another 30 next year. So a decrease of 1,500 in requisition.
Yeah, 4837 per home.
Okay, and a number of folios, property folios, 876, is it? Is that right?
I don't have any new numbers. It'll be the same as last year. I could look it up here though, 1 sec.
I think it's 876, but it's a useful number for me to know. So for folks listening online, you know, if a service costs $100,000 and it's used by all the properties on Cortez, and we kind of take the cost of that budget and divide it by everybody's property, that's how we get the average amount per property.
887.
887?
Yeah.
Okay, we good there for grant and aid? On to feasibility studies, which we have 20 grand in the budget. That's a reasonable amount, I understand, if we wanted to do something.
Yeah.
Does this include, we did a waste one, that came out of waste. Yeah, okay. Great, okay, so I'm happy with that one.
Do you want to just maintain it? I mean, you're requisitioning, it looks like an extra $1,000. Do you just want to keep it at the 20 grand? You know?
Well, you know, is that enough?
I don't know. I mean, what, I don't know.
It all depends on the timing. I did set up new reserves for grants and aid because we had really sporadic spending. So most of that increase actually is going towards the transfer to reserve. But yeah, depending on.
Sorry, this is grant and aid we're talking about?
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So.
This isn't,
Or.
this is not grant aid.
No, feasibility
Feasibility.
study.
Yeah, okay.
But if you see that 985 is paying for the reserve transfer essentially, but it's all going to be subject on whatever type of study you do. And we have noticed that there's just an increased cost for consultants and everything else. So $20,000 would probably be a minor study, but
Yeah,
we'll
okay.
build up a reserve.
I'm fine with keeping that unless anyone has, okay. Cortez Fire Protection we've done, Cortez First Responder, we've done liquid waste management. This is left over from the split between Area D, right?
Yeah, there's no tax effect.
So we're proposing 8,474 in tax requisition. Do we have,
Yeah, so Out of the main service, function 340, you're getting an 8474 reduction. And so you see it's an in and out. So whatever benefit came from the main service now shows up here.
Right, okay, so,
But you're not requisitioning 8,400, are you?
No, when you compare them in totality, there's no
Yeah.
requisition
Yeah.
effect.
sorry, explain that. I'm seeing tax acquisition for 2026 is 8474.
Correct, but then if you look at function 340, which is a regional service, you're going to see a negative 8474.
There'll be no requisition for liquid waste.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this $1.24 per household isn't,
You're going to have a $1.24 savings out of the other function.
okay.
So there's going to be a positive tax requisition here and a negative tax requisition in the regional service, and
Okay.
they offset each other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Refuse disposal, this is just an estimate based on last year, I assume?
Yeah, any refuse service is really subjected to volume, so we know tipping fees are going to go up 6% or something, so that's built in. But we'll update this for the January number just so we have more correct volume numbers.
And we don't really have any control over it. This is Comox Strathcona Waste Management, really, right?
Yeah, tipping fees and volume, neither one of what you control.
Yeah, okay, so for,
If I may just interject there, I do also want to flag for you, Director, that our collection contract with the current hauler expires at the end of, or in March of 2026, so we will need to go out to RFP, and it's likely that their fees are going to increase as well. So that is not factored in here. It is just sort of assuming that they charge the same rate in 2026, but they have historically increased every single year.
so the SRD is hiring a private contractor to deliver to Comox Strathcona Waste Management facility?
Oh, apologies. Is this disposal or
Yeah.
collection? My bad.
Disposal, yeah. Okay, so this is really just, we don't have any control over this. This is kind of,
Yeah, this is just tipping fees.
yeah, okay, all right. I'll keep this the same then. And then refuse,
Sheena. Yeah.
refuse collection. So this is where we're renewing the budget contract with our current provider happening in March. And we don't necessarily have an idea of how much that's going to change right now.
Correct.
We're showing a decent transfer from reserve. What is that for?
That's just a plug to balance the service. So this service is already being supplemented by reserve transfers, but again, it depends on volume and everything else. So this year, to balance the budget, we've used $6,300 that's what the transfer to reserve is. So there's no surplus or deficit, but eventually the fee's got to go up. If you scroll down a little bit,
Yeah, but it doesn't show $24,000 there. Transfer from reserve in 2026.
so I don't see the 24th. Oh yeah, that is needed to balance the budget. So when I balanced the 2025 budget, it required a 3860 reserve transfer.
Yeah.
And then and then we had originally the fees scheduled to go up, but then we changed the overhead allocation policy, and so that's why
Right.
the fees had dropped this year. But yeah, depending on tipping volumes and everything else, you need 24,000 to balance the service.
What's the reserve balance at?
104?
104. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And what, this would be for helping the provider buy a new truck? What is this reserve for? I thought we bottomed this reserve, the capital reserve we bottomed out last year.
Yeah, we did. I think that was the capital runner we got rid of, and then we decided. I think the operating reserve was too high as well. So we've been supplementing the rates with operating reserve transfers, but that'll really depend on the overall volumes.
Okay, and this is paid for as a fee for service where people get a separate bill outside their tax requisition, right? That's why we're showing zero for tax requisition?
Yeah, correct. But there will be, I say, depending on tipping fees, a contract, and everything else, fee increases from here on out. We were actually projecting fee increases in the prior year's budget as well, but then we had the rate, so those are still on deck to increase.
The tipping fees don't affect this. This is purely our contract with our hauler on Cortez.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
I'd say the one thing that did affect it was the sales of services. So we had, I believe, some type of recycling incentive, and then that got reduced by 2/3. That's why there's the drastic increase to reserves to fund the service. So we, back in the day, we used to get, about $30,000, then it got cut down to 16,000,
Right.
now
yeah.
down to 13,000, yeah.
Okay, I think I'm happy with this one. Do you have a sense of what this is going to cost per household?
Yeah, if you go to back to that chart,
98? Is that right?
scroll
No.
down to the fees. So right now, we lowered the fixed to 86. We assume that's going to stay in place till to next year, but that's using to reserve. So if you want to get back to balance, you need about $124 per household to
That's
balance
without-
this reserve without the.
Right.
Yeah.
And, it seems to me if we're paying, $86 for garbage pickup per year is pretty, extremely reasonable.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be 100, like I say, 124 in today's dollars for that, but we're just bleeding the reserves out.
I think folks, because we were looking at it on Quadra, weren't some folks in the 400 range or so from the private contractor?
Yeah, our feasibility study for Quadra identified that it would be about that. So this is very, very reasonable, but it is being subsidized by the reserve. So this doesn't cover our per household cost for the contractor.
And for folks on Cortez that are listening, part of the reason why this is so cheap is because, everybody pays for it and not everybody uses it. And that's the contractor, has a contract based on, their estimates of how many people end up using it.
The contract is per people in the service, so we pay the contractor regardless of whether or not folks on Cortez put out their garbage. So if anybody is listening and they do want value from the service, they would be encouraged to take advantage of that because they are paying for it regardless.
Yeah.
I think another advantage here is why your prices are so low, you have an on-island contractor.
Yeah.
Right? That's a big advantage.
Okay, house numbering, nothing here. And again, I've asked this before, but for services that we have that we don't need anymore, there's no real route to just end them.
Well, there is, but I think you have to have house numbering. Yeah.
But you have to?
Yeah, 911 for emergency.
Okay, all right. Do any other, what would communities use this service for?
This one, you actually never even established it. It was established through the service letters patent, but everybody needs the house numbering. But yeah, it's kind of a relic from days gone by, but legislatively, it's still there.
Okay, 3 cents per house, or 3 cents per 100,000. Community parks, okay. This is a bigger budget item. I know last budget, we talked about the $25,000 for the parking expansion at Hanks Beach, and that we were going to use that from the endowment that was made to that park at the beginning. I know that work hasn't been done. Is the...
Yeah, correct. So capital doesn't really affect any of the, we just look at the capital reserve transfer is the only thing that really affects your taxes. So just the summary of this, it looks like you about a 2.4% increase, which is inflationary. So we just increased some of the contingencies a bit, which are, again, going to on-island labor. That's primarily the function there. We did have a bit of a surplus last year, so there's a bit of a smoothing effect. But other than that, it's a pretty standard 2.4% inflation.
What's the reserve on that? What's the balance?
You have about 95,000 in operating and 122 in capital, and then those are kind of fungible. You could fund capital with the operating, but answer your question simply, 217,000. And then the reserve transfer going in is 15,000. So you would have some flexibility there. If you think 217 is sufficient, you can cut down on the 15,000.
Sorry, where are you looking? Where is this coming from?
If you look at the reserve transfers to reserves of 20,963,
Yeah.
that includes 15,000 plus all the interest you're making on the reserve balance. So you have $15,000 of flexibility there.
Okay, so I could decrease that transfer to reserve slightly to,
Yep. Anywhere from 0 to 15,000.
and so we're at like 90, almost 100 for reserves, and our budget for this is 160.
I think you said you had 217 in reserves. Is that
Yeah,
right?
so you have 217 in reserves and you have 15,000 being added every year. So if you want, you could reduce the 15,000 if you believe the 217 is sufficient.
Seems like a lot, to have a reserve that's so large compared to what the budget is, but, open to,
Yeah.
this is for acquisition, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so your reserves would enable you to be able to purchase land if it was to come up as an opportunity, or infrastructure or something that couldn't be covered by gas tax, or if you had little gas tax to provide. So this really does allow you to have a buffer for things that maybe weren't contemplated or where you don't want to add additional requisition.
Okay.
But yeah, your reserves were drained a number of years ago when Whaletown Commons was purchased. So
Yeah.
this is just rebuilding those reserves to allow potentially an acquisition that's similar to that.
Okay.
I guess that's the one point I would add is anything to do with parks where there's a lot of public engagement. It's just infrastructure just tends to be relatively expensive, as you've seen with, the price of a tennis court, for example, or any of the walking bridges or any of your trails.
Okay. Yeah, I guess, as far as projects in parks this year, is this the time to discuss that?
Sure. Yep. If you want to scroll down, Edith, to the capital budget.
So could I get an update on the Hanks Beach parking expansion?
Yeah, so we're just trying to finalize our permit from the Ministry of Transportation because most of the work is happening on the road allowance there. And that was just delayed a little bit. They wanted more detailed drawings, so we had to bring in an engineer to prepare those for us. So we're just waiting for that to wrap up. Hopefully have those in hand any day now and get that permit in place. And then we've got a contractor lined up to do the work. So hoping to do it well before the busy season coming up in the spring.
Great. I know, I'm just thinking about this, obviously needed, that parking lot is constantly overfilled and driving by it and people are parking on the road and dangerously. So we need it. I do probably feel that when, the chainsaws come out and we start cutting some forest there to make a new parking lot, there's could be some community pushback. And I'm just wondering if we can, do some, maybe a bit of awareness beforehand, just letting folks know the problem that we're solving and how we're going to solve it.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Just for your awareness too, and anybody listening, of course, the area that the parking lot is going to be located in is an old quarry where I believe the ministry took material out of to build the roads in the area or something like that. So we're not going into the park with this parking lot. We're not taking down any big trees or anything. There's a few alders to come down, but it's not a big clearing or anything like that.
Great. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you so much. There has been a call in the community for some more picnic tables in the parks. I think Hanks Beach could be potentially one. Whaletown Commons could be potentially one. If we put, I don't know how much a picnic table costs when we're doing it, but can we add some budget for park, what would we call it, park infrastructure? We can work out the details later. How would I describe it?
Yeah, thank you. We could definitely add to our minor capital. I don't know how much we bolstered that up for this year and if there was anything already intended for the amount that we currently have in there, but Jacob might have a little more insight on that.
Yeah, so the allocations we have for minor capital this year are already subscribed to ongoing projects or plans that we had. So if we wanted to add some picnic tables, we could either change gears and push a couple things back a year or two that we already had on the plans, or we could consider increasing that line item and adding some funding for some picnic tables.
Another quick one too. Yeah, sorry. If you did want to add a one-time charge, that's what the operating reserves for to offset it.
The capital operating reserves.
Yeah, we could either say reduce the $15,000 transfer going into capital for this year and just spend it on operating, or you could keep both and just transfer 15,000 of your operating funds into there.
Yeah, so if I wanted to put, 5 picnic tables in between 2 or 3 parks, is there a rough cost you might know? Okay, all right, so let's put 5 into park infrastructure, is that what we want to call it?
Minor capital?
Yeah, minor capital, but yeah, so 5,000 is probably gonna give you one picnic table.
Oh,
$5,000 for one picnic table?
Probably
Two, maybe.
a couple, yeah.
Two-ish,
but
yeah, 1 to 2, depending on.
Yeah, I can,
Where do you get those at? I won't go there.
okay, this is,
Yeah, just for
is this because they have a
reference.
cement base or something?
not necessarily, no, yeah. So it depends a lot on the details, right? And what we're talking about here. For reference, like when we put a new park bench in most of our benches, say, parks in Area D or Area C, we're looking at usually like a $2,500 bill for just a bench like that a couple people sit on. So a picnic table comparatively would be a little more expensive, but we could get away with something that's not fixed, and then the cost comes down substantially to just put together a
Yeah,
picnic table.
I don't think they need to be fixed. So if they weren't fixed, what would,
It's
sorry,
probably half the price, I would say.
right, well, there are a bunch of parks on, like BC parks that have removable ones and they're not going missing. Like, I'm thinking like out at Carrington, that's like, if you were gonna move a picnic table from Carrington, you have to drag it down a trail for like 5 kilometers.
To Jacob's point, it is quite variable, and so the question is, we won't be determining the details today for each
Yeah,
park. It would
yeah.
be park by specific. If you wanted to allocate, 3,000 to 5,000 per picnic table is a rough estimate, then as we develop the project further, we would know how many picnic tables that would enable us to purchase.
Okay,
We consider it park furniture.
okay, so let's put 5,000 into park furniture.
Then just reduce the transfer to reserve by
Yeah.
that, so it's neutral.
Yeah, this won't have a tax effect because I could do reserve, just 5,000, is it?
Yeah, I think so. I think a couple of movable picnic tables in Carrington and maybe a movable one or another movable or non-movable table in a more road access public park.
Just for your reference too, we did put a few picnic tables in Carrington last year, I believe. So I'm not sure if
Okay,
this.
okay, great. So let's just go with the $5,000 and we'll figure out those details over this next year. The other thing for parks, but I think this falls under parks, is shore access. There's a number of shore access points on Cortez. I'm wanting to do some public communications around where those are so people are more aware, and also some better signage. So is that something I would need to put in the budget here?
Depending on which shore accesses you're referring to, whether or not those are already permitted and signed, or whether those are identified as, phase 2 or 3, so I'm not sure which ones you're referring to, but.
I'm just getting feedback that people aren't aware of where they are
So we do have our mapping system now, which does show where all of the formalized beach accesses are that are under permit through the SRD. So if there's other beach accesses that we have yet to get through our beach access project, they may be identified as unopened beach accesses, which we do have mapping for that as well. But without a permit, we don't sign and we don't have authority over. So it really would depend on which ones. But certainly we could re-highlight those on our parks page. And there is a link to our parks mapping system that does identify those. But if we're talking about developing existing ones that we currently do not have a license over, we would have to investigate how much work is required to go into opening each of those. So if it's simple, we apply for a permit through MOT and we erect our sign. We have signage that we use throughout the SRD for shore accesses. So it just depends on which ones you're referring to.
certainly the ones we already have permitted for, having better signage on those, but I think, all of them, the more people are aware of the beach access or shore access on Cortez, the better.
So, again, you could allocate a bit of funding, either through your reserves or gas tax, for the shore access project, and then we could determine which shore accesses are currently up for development and have consultation on those.
Okay, great. Any sense on how much I would move from capital?
I guess with all of these, it's entirely
Yeah, I get
dependent
that,
on what that means. So just for clarity, all of the beach access points are MOT right-of-ways, and so they exist, whether or not they're signed or not.
Yeah,
We only sign them when we have a permit for use over them. And some of them we don't, we haven't pursued a permit because the actual access to the beach requires some significant development, like maybe it's stairs, maybe it needs clearing, maybe there isn't a safe place for people to park.
okay.
So it's wildly different between each beach access for whether or not we actually want to encourage people to use them or not.
Okay,
So to Annika's point, it would be, a better sense of it would be to say, allocate some portion of money to the project to a beach access project, and then we can come forward with we would have to do some exploration into what is feasible to implement this year.
Okay.
And to Jacob's point, we have some beach accesses that we already have permits over. They currently have signs. Some of those areas may need additional development as well, but there are others that may be the sort of more easy to develop a little bit or to put in a sign that we could pursue. But even in those, we might need to do a survey. Maybe that's it. But another site, again, might require some for real development.
okay. So if I put 10 grand from operating reserve, would that be,
That would certainly be a start, yes.
okay, let's do that then, Mike.
And then if I could just add, I mean, as we work through this project, depending on how it's slotted in for 2026, and identify these areas and determine what works are needed, we could always come back with a financial plan amendment at that time if it's deemed that, there are one or two key sites that require additional work. I mean, a survey is going to cost probably $3,000 already, right? So, but we can start that work, and then as we proceed, we can always come back and
Great,
give
okay,
further consideration to that. Yeah.
thank you. Okay, so for where are we at, Mike, here as far as our requisition now per household?
Still at 4837.
Oh, that's overall?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, and on parks, is there any gas tax that I can put in here?
If you have infrastructure projects.
Is there infrastructure projects that are funded from anything other than reserves?
Right now, no. Well, we have the Hanks Beach one that we wanted to spend. Everything else, we use we prioritize gas tax for any of the park stuff. You can scroll down a little bit, Edith, to the capital plan. Yeah. So I say the land acquisition. There is no park, so it's just the one project, Hanks Beach,
And that's
just
paid for through an endowment, that one?
That's the indemnity. Yeah.
Okay, so there's no gas tax I can spend here then?
You can spend as much as you want. You just need a project.
But as far as covering what we're already doing?
Oh yeah. We're
Yeah.
covered. Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, Mike, the question being, the multi-use sport court is listed as a gas tax project, but it's not in the capital summary, so I'm just wondering
yeah,
if that needs to be added or.
Yeah, sorry. We have that under function 135 because that's essentially a third-party contribution.
Yeah, that's just a clarity there.
That's be the last on the list.
Thank you.
So just to be clear, you're looking to see if anything that we're currently funding out of reserves could be funded out of gas tax instead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if I could decrease tax requisition for parks slightly by putting
That wouldn't lower the requisition, yeah. If you just subbed out gas tax for reserves, the reserves has
Yeah.
spent money already.
So what you want to do is remove the $15,000 reserve transfer going in.
Which is what we already said yes to, right?
Oh, did you say, okay, yeah, so there's zero going in. Now, whether or not you want to take any more out of operating, I've already balanced those projects, but you're sitting at 80,000, so. You could lower the requisition 80,000 if you wanted to.
80,000 from
You
160.
drain the operating reserve.
I don't want to drain the operating
Okay, yeah.
reserve.
I'm saying, or you could take some of it out, it's not all or none, right? If you want-
I think you just took the 15 grand out.
That was amount getting transferred into reserve.
Right.
So now there's no money going into reserve, but
Right.
if you want more money coming out of
Right.
reserve, that'll reduce that would reduce requisition. So right now, the requisition's going down 11,000. If you want to go down more, let me know.
I do think though too, the amount that you're putting in for shore access / trail development could be funded from gas tax as
As
opposed,
opposed to operating
yeah.
reserves. Yeah, I'm
Yes.
okay with
What's the
operating.
what's the
reserves
dollar
on that.
amount? If it's over 50,000, then it turns into capital.
10,000.
No,
Okay, yeah. They
I'm
would
happy
look
to
at-
do that from operating reserves.
Yeah.
And if we go, transfer reserves from 20 maybe to 15.
Sorry, I have, just for clarity, so I've removed any of the transfers into reserve, but if you want to pull money out of reserves just to reduce the requisition, you can.
No, we'll keep it that. I think.
Yeah, okay.
So to be clear, we are not contributing to reserves for this year. So that
Correct.
$15,000 that we had initially put in there, we've now
Yes.
allocated to our
Yeah.
funds. And so we're not taking anything from our reserves, and your requisition is going down.
Sorry, we're taking 18,000 to fund those projects we're talking about, but that still leaves 80,000 in the reserve. So if you wanted to go more on top of that,
No, I think,
yeah.
so right now our transfer reserves, we're not going to transfer reserves this year.
We're transferring 18,500 out to pay for the new signage,
yeah.
pay for
Yeah.
some park benches, but you could go more, but yeah.
I think that's fine
Yeah.
for now, yeah, thanks. Community halls. So this was a 20% increase, it looks like. I don't know if do we have details on these budgets? I haven't seen them.
Yes, so we just got, Manson's budget yesterday.
How did we populate this if we didn't have their budget?
We just did a CPI increase.
20%?
We had one hall budget, but we didn't have the other
Okay.
until yesterday.
So can you give me the 25 and 26 request
So,
for both halls?
Southern Cortez Community Association, what I have here is last year, Mike can confirm, but on their budget was 65,937. And this year's barely increasing to 66,307.
Okay, and then Whaletown?
Wilton, do you have last year's budget, Mike? Because I only have this year's in their budget they provided.
No.
Okay. So I'd have to look that up, but for this year, they're asking for 42,505,
Okay, so
and I'll
Well,
look up.
we need last year's.
Yeah,
to-
I'm gonna look up last year's.
That must be the one that's significantly increasing if the first one didn't.
Yeah.
Gorge Hall? Do we have the 2025 number?
We're just looking.
Okay.
I've got it here.
Okay.
It's 28,375.
28,375. So Gorge Hall went 28,375 to 42, and Manson's went from 65 to 66. Do we know why Whaletown increased so much? I mean, it's not a huge budget, but.
don't have their comparison with me.
Okay, so I think on this one, I'm going to go transfer reserve 0 this year. And keep it at 40,000 or 46.
Yeah, so we had the 45,000. I know last year they had requested initial $35,000 of, for like a capital contribution. We were going to do that this year, but yeah, we have significant, or I shouldn't say, we have, say 222,000 of total reserves. So yeah, we could,
We have, I'm looking at operating reserve 46 here.
We have $2,000 in reserves for the community halls?
if you scroll down to the reserve charts. Oh, sorry, I'm
Yeah.
probably looking at the wrong.
Okay, so like if we have
yeah, right,
200,000.
Yeah, sorry.
Are we good?
I'll
So
fix
we're
it.
at
Yeah, ignore what I said,
46,000.
Yeah.
Right now, right? We're 46.
Their numbers is 682. Oh, yeah, look at the wrong one. Sorry, yeah, my apologies for that. Yeah, we have 10,000 going into the reserve. We're sitting at 46,000.
Okay, so I'm happy to keep that at 46 and not do a transfer reserve this year.
Okay.
So take the 10, don't transfer the 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The 10,932. You got that, Mike?
Yeah, so the 932 was just interest being earned.
Yeah. And then the transfer to reserves at 932 we're not going to do.
I removed the 10,000
Yeah,
out of it, yeah,
okay.
so the taxes now are 8.6% jump.
On this service.
Yeah.
Did you have something, Aniko?
Yeah, just looking at some of the notes in their budget, so it looks as though there's some additional budget required for some hall repairs and electrical upgrades, additional fire smart work, sound equipment, increases in cleaning, some items that came out of safety inspections such as emergency lighting and fire extinguishers.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, most of the stuff seems to be, also, I guess the increases too for their water system operations and monitoring. That looks like that's increased a
Okay.
bit this year as well.
And that was the new water system we put in 2 years ago.
Yeah, we help fund that for sure. So, yeah, it just seems like,
Okay, all right. So I'm happy to keep those budgets the same and just decrease the transfer to operating reserves to 0 this year and be good with that. Mike, can you give me an update on where we're at per household overall?
2202.
Okay.
Last one was 4807, you're not,
What's that?
last one was 4807, 4837.
Yeah, we just dropped it 10,000.
22.
Yeah. There's only 900 houses. Every dollar is quite a bit of a effect.
There you go.
Getting closer to 0.
At least $100 a home a day.
Okay, heritage conservation, nothing there. And then gas tax.
Yeah, we did the shared services all pretty pretty standard there. So just gas tax falls under the admin.
Okay, so we've got 378. Oh, we had 378 before this meeting. Can you just give me an update of where we're at for balance going into 2026?
So stepping into, assuming no more spends happen this year, we're going to step into 2026 with 378,000. We're expecting 65,000 to come in from contributions, and we currently have 285,000 committed. So we'll end the year with 160,000.
Okay, I would like to put in 30,000 for food security hub, food bank refurbishment. Something else I'm interested in is maybe you've seen in Japan, a lot of the parks there have like workout equipment as part of the parks. And pardon?
Like Area D?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think those are really popular and great for all ages, especially older folks. And I haven't looked into cost of those things. I'm sure they're not cheap, but I'd love to do something in Whaletown and also Manson's, perhaps on the Hall land. Those are both central hubs. Do you have a sense of what those cost in Area D?
Well, anything like that, we would pencil in at least 150,000.
Okay.
So we could certainly explore that as a consideration.
150,000 is how much? Like how many? Can you give me a sense of what that gets you?
I haven't priced them in years.
Yeah, because, I mean, it's not just the equipment itself, it's installation, yeah, the surfacing. I mean, we did rubber tire surfacing at Heigl. So what I would suggest is just putting a placeholder in there, and perhaps we can get more information come January so that you have a better idea as to, what.
So this is when I'd suggest you say, like, put it in.
Yeah.
Fund it by grants. Don't, like, gas tax, just say grants. Then what planning staff will do if something comes along and they see, hey, there's a grant for that, great. And if you get exhausted that we are not able to get that money at some point, you can fund it through gas tax, for example. But
So could I just put that as recreation infrastructure? Would that make sense?
Or outdoor exercise equipment,
yeah.
that's what it's called, if that's what you're looking for.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just wanting to keep it broad enough that we can get more specific as we know what their options are, but outdoor exercise equipment? Okay.
Identify as that, put 150 grand in, funded by grants.
And, we could always look to renaming the project if something else comes up, or.
Okay. I've got a whole list of potential projects here that to throw under grants. So I think like the biggest thing I hear from people around what are some infrastructure projects in Cortez that are going to make the biggest difference is active transportation, walking and biking trails. I know those are expensive, but I would love to. I know we're waiting on an active transportation report. Do we have a sense on when that's coming back?
The active transportation network plan will be completed by the end of March.
Okay.
So that will come back. There will be a number of priorities identified within that for implementation. And so you could put in a placeholder, to Dave's point, of some amount of money for active transportation, and then the plan should drive where that money is spent, because the
Okay.
plan is based on what the community has requested.
So could we put like 2 million into that for grants?
Yeah,
From grants?
just put it, identify it as active transportation trails, whatever network, and 2 million funded by grants.
Yeah. So that's biking and walking trails. Community energy infrastructure, so like solar panels and storage for halls, 250,000.
The other thing too is Sean comes up with some wild things through
Yeah.
what's emergency planning grant. I mean, again, there's no harm laying it out there, and if something comes along and it's identified in some plan.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm just like,
Yeah.
this is obviously, we're not
Yeah.
going to, I have like $7.6 million worth of
Yeah,
projects
that's
here.
fine, yeah.
I realize,
It's not that
We're not gonna
foolish,
get-
because you'll see like strategic priorities fund or something come out, or an economic development, and they'll fund $1 million from something, and often we won't have anything even identified. It's
Yeah.
not that crazy.
Okay, so we have 2 million towards biking, walking trails. Community energy infrastructure, so solar panels and storage for halls.
Sorry, do we have, what service would that go to, though?
Which one? The active?
The energy? Part, like say, I know if you have a.
Probably go halls service
Oh, okay.
and have it under grants again for 250. We've got the recreation, the fitness, outdoor fitness stuff. Public transit, the biggest thing that I hear from, well, we've got, we have a van on Cortez, the Cluhus van, that people can get picked up and go to the ferry and get to town. And there's also the shuttle across Quadra. And I'm looking at, can we, the shuttle across Quadra specifically, it would have a huge impact for folks getting back and forth. If there's a way to subsidize that, or you have it in the budget even if there's grants that come up, but.
Yeah, I mean, again, that one's a kind of an operating grant. I mean, we could put it in there. The likelihood on that one is, I would say, super low because they never like to fund operating. But, you can put it in and just fund it by grants. And again, if there's some, random program that happened too, then there's no harm in it,
Yeah,
right?
okay.
Is that a parks project?
Sure.
What was the dollar amount again?
Yeah.
What was the dollar amount?
50? Did you have a service to put that under? I saw Annika wasn't sure on parks.
Parks or something?
I don't think it's super critical at this
Yeah,
point.
okay.
I mean,
All right.
I say for budget purposes.
We have got grants before. I can think of conditional ones like the Area D dikes and floodplain that were conditional upon establishing a service. We have those before.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's massively critical that, we have pinpointed a service for it.
Okay, all right. A retail space development. This is a potential project with Housing Society. They put in some REDIP grants to develop some commercial space in one of the downtown cores. I want to put 400,000 through grants.
Another parks project?
I mean,
I'll just dump all these into
yeah,
parks.
okay. Next one is,
Why did I not call out that none of these projects get done because they're under the parks portfolio?
yeah, I want to be clear to everyone listening.
I'm not on the record right now. I'm like,
I want to be clear to everyone listening. This is sort of big picture wish list for Cortez. These are all things that are would have a big impact on Cortez. They're just basically like, these are the things we want. We know we're not going to get them this year, or not all of them for sure. And having them in the financial plan and something that we can point to if a grant comes up, if I want to put some gas tax funding towards. That's why I'm doing that. Next one is SRD-owned electric vehicle and sharing app. So some sort of electric vehicle that would be owned by the SRD, or I'm open to a third party as well, that would have a charging station and a way for people to sort of car share it. I have that. I put an estimate of that for 200.
Yeah, you can just send me your list at the end of the day. I'll just put them in and just let me know what year you want everything, or I guess if everything's 2026.
Okay. The next one, which I think I'm hoping to do this through the housing service. I've had some conversations already. This is a long-term lease idea where we get a loan to develop a piece of land, putting in power, water, sewage, and a road, and then sell long 99-year leases, basically for the cost of doing that, as a way for people to be able to buy land on Cortez at an extremely reasonable price and target it towards young people and families. So I'm looking for, approximately like a 1.25 million 5-year loan that I'd love to see happen through the housing service. I don't know how we put that in the plan.
Again, I'd put it in as a grant at this point, like you're looking for capital funding for that. I want to remind everyone too that we had the WARV service that was buried within the EA admin service for years. So when we got the money for that, we didn't have a WARV service, and it stayed in EA admin for years and years and years, and then we punted it out. So again, if we're not certain, put it under EA admin. Like, there's certainly no liability when the service doesn't even exist. We took the money for wharves, we kept it in that, and then we moved it into an established service. So if we're puzzled, put it in EA admin.
So for this one, it is, specifically housing, so can we put it in?
We
under
put
housing?
wharves in EA admin.
Right,
So-
but if we have a housing service already. that
We
had-
have a regional one, yeah.
Yeah.
But, okay, so if you
So
want to put
I'm
in.
hoping this to be a regional project that basically, it pays for itself, so the rest of the region isn't paying for it, but we're accessing the loans that we can access. We borrow
Yeah.
1.125 million, it gets paid back through selling the 99-year leases within 5 years.
Yeah, so then you got to introduce that one at the next cow that we're going to have, I would say. Because you're going to ask the board basically to put this project in there, so do it there.
Okay.
If you want it to be within regional housing service.
I think that makes most sense, right? I'm just
Yeah.
looking for a
Yeah.
5-year loan.
Yeah.
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 Okay. At the last cow, we talked about, regional grant and age projects from outside of Campbell River and Cortez Island Museum.
So do that at a cow too, so, because if you're going to put stuff in that you want the regional grants, so then when we get to, a cow, when we talk about regional items, you say, hey, let's just presume at the next cow, let's say we came up with a definition of what's a regional project. So great, and then I'm going to turn to everyone and say, okay, well, how much money are we going to stick in this thing? And so maybe Campbell River says 250,000, and then you go, well, another 50 grand for, I got some ideas, and we make that number populated by what everyone's total is. So I'd save that for that meeting, because
January cow.
yeah, because you're not going to be if there is a regional grants, then I'm presuming others will say, okay, Camp River will say this, and others
Yeah.
will say that,
Yeah.
and we'll shove that amount of money in there.
Yeah, okay. So that, just for folks listening online, I'm hoping to have the Cortez Island Museum funded through a regional grant and aid for 10,000. Next one is Whaletown Seniors Housing. So this is we have a seniors housing project on the Manson side of land, Cortez, and nothing on the Whaletown side. I have $1 million budget for that. Would that be a?
What do you want? What are you trying to get? Like, is it an operational subsidy, buying something?
It could be,
built?
yeah, purchasing land and, it's got 2 houses on it, turning it into 4 suites and having.
That sounds like a regional housing. Do that at Cow too.
Okay. Community theater and entertainment infrastructure. So this is, I guess, capital costs for theater productions and entertainment infrastructure. This could be like sound systems and.
Yeah. So again, put that under
Grants.
parks and grants. yeah.
Okay. Also, I'll just email this to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Another one, greenhouse, so like some sort of full year-round greenhouse for growing greens as a food security idea, 100,000. Laundry facility, 50,000. Youth programming, I don't know if the SRD, we could potentially access some grants for youth programming, but I have that as 50,000. And then the last big ticket item is a hospice center. So this is a place that would have, a couple of rooms and sort of a caretaker room and to support hospice work on the island. And that's 2 million. Again, for folks listening, these are big project, lots of big numbers, and really just wanting to put it out there. These are needs that I've heard of on Cortez, and just as a way to start the conversation and make them hopefully more likely to eventually find some funding.
It wasn't that long ago, maybe even this year, that it was either an economic development or a strategic fund that had significant money that I don't think we submitted anything to, because we got to have projects, right?
That's
So-
why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll email all these to you,
Yeah.
Mike, and we'll go from there.
I guess the other one too is just whether you need any operational cost, whether it's.
Yeah, there's a
they
lot of
might,
details on that one.
But we would sort that out if and when we got funding for it.
Okay. That's everything on my list.
So the one to discuss, I guess, would be, there's a new shared service between Area B and Area C of the wood chipping and climate change, so perhaps.
That's going to referendum in October, so it
Oh,
wouldn't
okay,
happen until
sorry. I thought-
2027.
My apologies.
I think that's it. Thank you all staff for working through all this stuff with me. Really appreciate it and looking forward to 2026 with y'all.
A good example of, again, when we presented it, and yesterday, I don't know, it was 135, 140 or whatever it was, but, you know, as you can see, the funding models can change and shift and rack, so, you know, you went from 140 to $22, right?
Yeah,
So
is that's where we're at, Mike, right now? As far as, so for folks listening online, the average property on Cortez will have a, how many dollar increase this year?
Well, we have to wait for the new requisitions to come out, but if the requisitions don't change, it will be 2202.
$22. Great. We're done. Thanks, everyone.
Abel, did you find the, where the